What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be giving you guys our official mock draft of the upcoming 2025 mock draft with me, Aqua, and Slushy as the special guests for this video, and our, I would say, mock draft expert within the Discord. We're going to be going through the entire first round and giving you guys every single team's pick, including the teams that don't have a first round pick. And yeah, we're basically just going to be selecting the first selection for every single individual team. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below, as it helps out the channel and we'd really appreciate it. And join our Discord, link in the description, if you want to share your own mock drafts with the rest of the community. Anyways, without further ado, let's just get right into the mock draft. All right, first up, of course, we have the Raiders, and I will go ahead and give them Mendoza, as they are going to need a franchise quarterback now that they don't have Geno. And yeah, pretty easy first overall pick here. Nothing too much else to say.
All right, for the Jets need a lot of they need like just everything. So I think we got to go best overall play, which is Orville Reese. He's a very he can do a lot of stuff, which is something the Jets need, especially for the defense. The defense was like one of the worst down the stretch of the last half of last season. So I think Orville Reese is probably the best fit for the Jets.
There's really two picks that make sense here for the Cardinals. Unfortunately, as much as fun love would be, they don't really need that running back because they got Algier. They still have Connor, who hopefully is going to be good still after that injury. But it's going to be between, like, your preference of Bailey versus Bain. Probably Bailey, though, based on measurables. And then Fuaga at tackle. I'll probably go tackle this one because they didn't like get anyone in free agency. Though the edge position is definitely a high possibility here, but yeah, I think it's really down to one of those two. So we're gonna go Fuaga here this time.
All right, next up we have the Tennessee Titans, who need a lot, if we're being honest here, and they could go running back. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I feel like we go running back or we go edge. I don't know if they're gonna go running back here, but then again, like, they are one of the only teams that kind of do need a running back that are picking this high. So I think I'm just gonna settle for Jeremiah Love for the Tennessee Titans.
All right, as for the Giants, I would absolutely think we need O-line, but there's really nobody to pick from here at number 5. Wide receiver could also be in play. Cornell Tate, maybe Mekhi Lemon, but I think the correct pick here will be Sonny Styles. But the Giants already have like a really good they have a lot of talent on the front seven, but I think linebacker is absolutely a need for the Giants. Sonny Styles, one of the best combines in a long time. He's very athletic. I think he would fit perfect into hot box system.
All right, there's really two thoughts for the Browns at this position, especially with how the board felt. It's either wide receiver, which Carnell Tate, or kind of depending on the preference, but they'll probably go with the Ohio State guy because, Cleveland. And then we have the option of tackle with Fuaga on the board. I think we're gonna go interesting. We're gonna keep it in state with Cardinal Tate because they have their pick of the best wide receiver, and they really, really need a wide receiver. Jerry Jeudy. I don't even have Njoku anymore, who's a tight end, but technically, but still, I just don't know what they're doing in that receiving room. So give me Arnold Tate, honestly.
All right, next up we have the Commanders, and they are in need of some defensive players, considering they have a decently lackluster defense. So they're probably going to need some young guys in there, and I feel like they just got to take the best defensive player, or one of the most dynamic defensive players, at least, this high in the draft, and that is Caleb Downs out of Ohio State.
Saints are another team with a lot of needs. Tyler Shuck looked pretty great. Like, the Saints defense is not bad, but not where they probably want it to be. I think the good pick here would be. There's just a lot of things you can go. There's still a lot of defensive talent here, but I think you have to give them another weapon because right now they have nobody outside of Chris Olave. Like if Chris Olave goes down, like you have nobody, you can't win a game. So I think Makai Lemon would be a strong receiver to pair with Olave.
All right, the Fallen Dynasty Chiefs are up, and they just lost their best two corners between trading one of them to the Rams and the other one going to the Rams in free agency, and also lost a safety in free agency. So that secondary just is horrendous, probably more than likely at this point in time. Edge is very tempting in this position, and the two best wide receivers went off the board. There is still Tyson, but Tyson has those injury concerns Chiefs might consider. But you had Delaney right here. Other than Taylor Downs, arguably, and even then you could argue, the best DB available in this draft. So we're just going to not think too hard on that one.
All right, next up we have the Bengals, and I feel like I'm just going to have to give them the best guard available since they do need some help on the interior line. And I'm going to take Olavagialone out of Penn State. I'm probably butchering that name. But yeah, just give them the best guard available to help out that interior O-line for Joe Burrow's sake.
All right, that's fine. I got to say, I'm kind of astounded how Ruben Bain and David Bailey are out of the top 10. I think the Dolphins have a ton of needs. Like their roster is like probably bottom 5, bottom 2 in the league right now. So I think BPA works best. I think Ruben Bain's a better overall prospect than David Bailey. So, and plus stays in Miami, so makes sense.
Yeah, this is just a home run pick for the Cowboys, taking David Bailey, who may not be the perfect edge of all time, and may not quite be the Micah Parsons replacement they might be hoping for. But definitely with Rashawn Gary opposite him, I think David Bailey could definitely do some stuff here. I mean, they definitely could consider another position here, but I think just, if David really falls to them at 12, you just gotta capitalize.
Yeah, next up we have the Rams, and I think they're probably gonna take an offensive lineman here. They could go Jordan Tyson, wide receiver. I mean, at the end of the day, they still have a really solid wide receiver duo, so I don't think that's an immediate need in the first round. So to help out their offensive line, which have had some guys retire over the past few years, I'm probably gonna give them either Fano or Freeling. Out of Georgia or Utah, I'll probably go Freeling just to help them out, there. And yeah, I mean,
I would suggest Fano because he's a right tackle and they need a right tackle, not a left tackle. But you can make your pick however you please.
Okay, I didn't know that, so thank you. We'll go with Fano. I mean, either way, they need a tackle, but that would help if they needed, if they had one, side as a need.
The Ravens, wow, they just lost their entire O-line, and the two guys that probably could have been a solution are gone. So it's really hard what to say here. I'm thinking of a couple of guys. I would say receiver, because outside of Zay Flowers, you don't really have much. You can do Akeem Mesidor. He's a bit older, but it's better if you want instant pass rush help. I think I'm honestly gonna go Jordan Tyson here.
Yeah, especially with that run on edges earlier, none of the top guys fell. I mean, Mesidor is really good, but in this scenario, if you're the Buccaneers and you see Sadiq, the absolute freaking demon that is his athletics portfolio, and having that on the board, and when you really need that great tight end. They have Otten, who's fine, but if you got Sadiq available, you gotta capitalize, and especially you don't want him falling to the Panthers, who I think would very well love to capitalize on Sadiq as well. So yeah, give me a Sadiq.
The Jets, I think best play available. Ty Simpson could be in play, but I think it might just be better to be patient and wait for the next year's class, which is a lot better. I think I got to go CJ Allen here. He's younger. I think he's 21, 22. He was a really good leader for the Georgia defense. So we're doubling up a linebacker, which is, I guess, not a bad thing. The Jets pretty much need everything. So
All right, next up we have the Lions at 17, and I'm just going to go ahead and give them Freeling, who's a tackle, because they do need some help, as Aqua stated in past videos. The offensive line has, been shifting around over the past few years for a variety of reasons, and they're going to need some, younger guys to help out Penei Sewell and the rest of the crew this upcoming season.
All right, the Vikings. They have Callum Murray. I think this is a roster that could absolutely contend. So I think secondary here. I think what was his name? Harrison Smith. I think he retired. So I think a safety replacement is in need here. You can go Jamal McCoy. You can go Dylan Emmanuel McNeil-Wallen. I guess I'll go Dylan Feeneman. I'm not trying to say his name. I apologize, but out of Oregon, I think it'll be perfect for Brian Flores' defense, which desperately needs secondary help.
This is not the greatest board for the Panthers. I can't lie. You don't really have anyone that's going to be good enough to be a center at this pick. The absolute gem wide receivers are off the board. Sadiq's off the board. So now you just need to figure out what else would be a good idea here, and maybe someone more on the D line might just be able to help with that. They actually have the opportunity to take the first interior of defensive lineman on the board, and he may not be the highest ranked one on here, but Caleb Banks has gotten a lot of praise. So I think the Panthers should capitalize on the fact they get their pick of the defensive lineman here and to capitalize. All right. Well, I don't know how I ended up with back-to-back picks. I guess we messed up a little bit earlier, but regardless, I have the Dallas Cowboys. Second pick, we had them earlier get David Bailey, which is crazy in-state pass rusher right there. Yeah, they need DB. I'm just not gonna do it as much as I want to take McCoy. He just hasn't played football at all last year, and he didn't throughout the combine. So I'll take Terrell. I think Terrell's a safer option in terms of there's zero chance that he's gonna not start immediately and have bad play. I just don't know what we got McCoy, and someone's gonna capitalize on it, but we'll see who it is. But I'll take Terrell.
All right, next up we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who would probably need a quarterback to back up Aaron Rodgers, but since there's none that are really worth taking this high, and also the running backs, same thing where there's none really worth taking this high. We're just gonna give him an offensive lineman. Blake Miller seems to be the best one available at their position right now. So yeah, we're gonna hopefully hope that he helps out the Steelers, considering they've had some injuries and they have some older players there to protect whoever the future quarterback is after Rodgers.
Dodgers, they have invested a little bit this offseason on the offensive line. I don't think it's gonna be like a permanent long-term solution, but I'm not really seeing anyone here that's gonna make an impact. So I feel like I'm feeling Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, but I'm also looking at Mark Cooper Jr. Keenan Allen I don't know what's his future, but you know what? I'm going to spice things up. Mark Cooper Jr. to the Chargers, another weapon for Justin Herbert. Yeah, again, don't know what's going to happen to Keenan Allen. Ladd McConkey, he's had a little bit of a down year. I don't know if he could be that number one receiver. So there you go.
Eagles O-line's getting up there and getting kind of old. Lane Johnson, Dickerson, they're both going to be here in their season or two, but there is a point where they're going to have to retire. And Caden Proctor, he is an interesting prospect at left tackle. He's pretty athletic, though he does need some work on his technique. And potentially, worst case scenario, he could be a guard, but might need a guard down the line anyway. So regardless of how they end up using him, I think Proctor should be fine for the Eagles. So I'll go with Proctor here, even if it is not the highest rated on this board. And back up because the Browns have another first-round pick. And we gave them Carnell Tate earlier, but they do actually have something that's pretty good on this board for them, and that is Impregnon from Oregon, who is a really good guard. A really, really, really good guard. And frankly, we could go left tackle, actually. They kind of actually do need a left tackle more than need a guard. So you know what? Let's go with Lumbu. He is the second best left tackle in this class, and they pass up on him from Braley earlier, but they might take at 6. So let's get Lombo here. After all, the Texans will probably snipe him or some other team.
All right, next up we have the Bears, and I feel like pretty easily they're just going to snag Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, one of the best safeties in this draft coming out of Toledo, as they do need to improve their secondary, which showed promise this past season, but definitely could improve in the future. So I feel like this is a pretty easy pick to help them out there.
All right, I know who I'm going for the Bills here. Akeem Mesidor. I think he's a 25-year rookie, old rookie, but they need instant pass rush help. Like the Bills have been knocking on the door. One of the main reasons why they can't get it done is because of defense. I think Akeem Mesidor can instantly get the Bills some help, which is just absolutely needed. Again, I'm tired of seeing the Bills just not getting it done. They need to get the job done.
Every time we get to the 49ers, I swear in a mock draft, like everyone that I'd want to take for them gets taken like right before it. It's just like unfortunate. But there are still some decent players. We got McCoy, we got Folk, Edge. We might go Folk here. That looks like it might be the pick, though we also have the option of taking like Pregnon or take a wide receiver. Because let's be honest here, we all know that Ayuk is going to get released at some point or another, and that relationship is basically soured. Yeah, I think I just got to take the best available player here with Folk. He's a really good run-stuffing DN. The question will be, can he develop more as a pass rusher? And I think the 49ers can definitely do something with them, especially considering the fact that they had Bryce Huff retire. So they're gonna need help on that D-line. So as much as I was really wanted to take a guard or a tackle here, I feel like this is probably the best pick.
All right, next up we have the Texans, who I'm probably just going to give them Caden McDonald out of Ohio State for some interior help on that D-line, considering the rest of their defense is pretty much squared away. I mean, we already saw how dominating of a unit they were this past season, and they already got some edge help from this past offseason, signing some guys. So, yeah, I'm just going to give them help on that interior line with Caden McDonald.
Chiefs are back up. They got their CB1 last pick. Now they still need an edge. They still need like a wide receiver as like positions of need. Maybe even another DB, to be honest. Like they have that luxury because they don't have much of a secondary after free agency. It's the Chiefs. They probably want instant impact now players. But honestly, looking at the ones that are available, I honestly think they think it might be worth the gamble. This is pick 29 at the end of the first round. If McCoy works out, he is the best DB in this draft, without question. Arguably even potentially top 5 pick if he plays like he did in 2024. So you know what? This late in the first round, I think it's worth the gamble for the Chiefs. And we'll see if their duo of DBs can actually work out and bring back this defense to the glory days.
Dolphins again. I think there's a lot of people I'm looking at, a lot of guys I'm looking at, but I think they desperately need some kind of weapon. Like you signed Malik Willis to approve a contract. I think he needs some help in order to prove it. So I think a receiver is in play here. I think I'm gonna go KC Conceição.
Next up, we have the Patriots coming off their Super Bowl run, unfortunately falling just short. Right now, they need some help on that D-line. They need some help at tackle and linebacker. It would be kind of a reach at left for linebacker, maybe later. I think of the England Patriots in their current situation, they kind of need another wide receiver, or at least they don't have Stephon Diggs back. They do have now Dobbs, but let's bring in one of the wide receivers, and let's bring in Boston, Washington. I feel like that's gonna help out Drake May, because right now, like I said, they're just the receiving room is just kind of underwhelming, but they made it work last season, so let's just give them some more help there.
All right, Super Bowl champion Seahawks. Again, Super Bowl champions often don't have many needs. I do know one need for the Seahawks, though. They need reroad in the secondary because they lost a couple guys in free agency. So I think the best cornerback on the board right now, Colton Hood. I'm going to be honest, he'll probably be a stud in Mike McDonald's defense. I'm not going to lie. And we're also back with the Jets as well. So I did 2 linebackers. Well, you could argue that Arvell Reese is a pass rusher. So I think we're going to continue building. They did lose a guard in free agency. So I think the play here is to keep building on that O-line. So I think I'm going to go Emmanuel Pregnon. Again, make it easy so whatever quarterback you draft next has a really, really easy time adjusting to the speed of NFL.
All right, next up, we got the Cardinals on the board. They got their tackle. And since literally nobody did it, and the Jets didn't even do it at this pick, why not bring in Tim Simpson into that room? After all, the O-line looks a little better now with the free agency and also bringing in Fuaga. And, I mean, they have McBride, they have Harrison that could be something. And then, like, their options at QB, Minshew, and Brissett just aren't great. So they're gonna need someone to develop and have hope in that deep in that room. So why not, let's bring in Simpson and let's see what he can do in there.
All right, next up we have the Tennessee Titans, and I think I'm just gonna give them some help on the defensive side of the ball. Probably go with Cassius Howell, who is an edge from A&M. So yeah, I'm probably just gonna help him pair up with Jeffrey Simmons and the rest of that defensive line to make a more formidable opponent down in the trenches. All right, next up, back-to-back picks, we have the Raiders, who are definitely going to need some offensive help to pair with Mendoza, but then again, like, we could just go Max I have no idea how to pronounce that last name. Ian Aker out of Arizona State to help out with the offensive line. So I'm probably just gonna settle for him. I don't know if we should or if the Raiders should reach on a wide receiver here, since there's not that many that they could and they could probably snag one a little later on to help maybe develop around Mendoza. So I think we just go tackle here.
All right, the New York Football Giants. They took Sonny Styles. I think we got to go some kind of. I mean, a lot of options here. I think they should go receiver, but I'm not really seeing anyone I'm excited about. Chris Bell, he did towards ACL, I think, so he's going to take a while to recover. I think secondary is in play here. We can go D'Angelo Pons.
All right, next up we have the Houston Texans at 38, and this is a pick that they traded for. So I think they just end up snagging, since we already gave them some interior defensive linemen, I think we just are going to have to settle for a guard, and I think we're going to go with Chase Bisontis out of A&M to, help out with that offensive lineman group, considering they have a off and on offensive line. In recent years, it hasn't been great. So just to help develop some guys in that interior would be great.
Thankfully, we cannot bring in Ty Simpson to make that QB room even more weird. Unfortunately, I know that it'd be truly the funniest thing ever, but we got our nice tackle. We got ourselves a nice wide receiver. So what other needs can we fill for the Browns? The board's not great, especially with that guard just coming off the board. There really isn't any. I mean, we could take another wide receiver, and you know what? Why not? We're the Cleveland Browns. Bell, unfortunately, is coming off injury, but Chris Bell could be an insane wide receiver in this class. So, and to be honest with you, like I said, I'm just thoroughly unimpressed with their wide receiver room, at all. So, if one of these two guys work out, the Browns will have a lot easier time bringing in a QB that can actually function in their offense. So, yeah, why not? Let's double up on wide receivers. And right back up, the Chiefs. We gave them 2 DBs. And frankly, they got some decent options here, with TJ Parker falling to them because underwhelming year in Clemson. Everyone had an underwhelming year in Clemson, but this guy looked insane last year, the year before that. So yeah, we're just going to take him. Hopefully that'll be a great edge to help out that system. And like I said, get that defense back on track.
All right, next up we have the Bengals, and yeah, they're an interesting team with an interesting set of needs. I think we just end up giving them some defensive interior linemen to help out with that unit that is definitely one of the weakest in the league. So it's really just pick whoever you want out of these ones. I'll probably just end up going Peter Woods out of Clemson, but either way, there's a lot of options here when it comes to interior defensive linemen.
The Saints. So for the Saints, I picked Mekhi Lemon. I think we go defense here. Let's get a good linebacker replacement for I don't even know his name. What was his name? Like the very old guy. I don't know. But I think we should go with should have been Heisman, Jacob Rodriguez. And we'll back at it again with the Dolphins again. We picked wide receiver and an edge defender. I think getting some help on the secondary is most appropriate. So we're going to go Brandon Cisse out of South Carolina. And it's me again for the third time. So we did a guard. We did two linebacker and edge rusher. I think we got to go receiver here. We need some help. We need someone to pair with Garrett Wilson. So if I'm going to go Gummy Bernard out of Alabama. And for the Ravens, it's what do we do? We did a wide receiver. So I think we're going to get a little bit edge help. Trey and Hendrickson's a little bit old. So I think pairing him with Rod Mason Thomas out of Oklahoma would be appropriate.
Not the most ideal board for the Buccaneers, but it could be worse. And frankly, we have a pretty decent edge rusher in Zion Young out of Missouri. He could be honestly be a late first round pick, depending on how the board falls. So I'm liking that pretty decently for the Bucs. So that'll give them some help. They've been failing to get that important edge rusher they've been looking for this entire time, and unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out. So maybe this time it will work out for them.
All right, next up we have the Indianapolis Colts, and I think I'm just going to go Skylar Bell here out of UConn to help out with the fact that they lost Pittman, and Pierce is getting paid a lot of money, so maybe having a wide receiver that could be good on a less expensive contract would be great. So I'm going to give him Skylar Bell here to help out with the loss of their arguably number one guy.
Like the Falcons. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let's see. So I think they need a receiver here. They absolutely need a receiver because who do you have outside of Drake London? Really nobody. So I think Chris Brazel could be in play, but also I'm thinking about still a little bit of defense. The defense was very good last season. Still a little bit inconsistent, but I think there's some pieces absolutely missing. So. But I think receiver is more important here. So I think I'm going to go Chris Brazel. The Vikings, again, I think I selected what do we select? We selected a safety. I think we're going to go with you know what? We're going to get someone to pay with Aaron Jones, especially as it's getting old. Let's go Jaden Price out of Notre Dame.
All right, next up we have the Lions, and I think I'm going to give them help when it comes to the linebacker and the D lineman position by giving them, a borderline, some borderline hybrid players. So I feel like, you could go linebacker or you could go defensive lineman. I think I'm going to give him Jake Golday, though, to help out with the loss of Anzalone, and to give him some young blood in the linebacker room.
We got the Panthers up, and what did I give them? It's been a minute. I gave him Caleb Banks to help out that interior D line, which I definitely think could use a little bit of help in that room. So good news we got that out of the way. As for any wide receiver or tight end options, yeah, the wide receivers have all been there's been a run on them. Do I want to justify taking a center this early? Probably not. So I do like Edward Stoward out of Vanderbilt is a pretty good tight end, and frankly, yeah, that's kind of the playmaker they're missing in Carolina. They have like all these pretty good wide receivers, but they really don't have that tight end threat. So that should help them out quite a bit. Hopefully, Bryce Young can do something with that, and we will see. Back up with the Packers, and then since they traded, Micah Parsons, they don't have a first round pick, so I haven't got to figure out what they have left for them to get. And things could be worse. Christian Miller out of Georgia, or Lee Hunter, depending on who you're higher on, are a pretty good option. But honestly, that DB room still makes me sad. Just like it's not good. So yeah, I think Chris Johnson's kind of underrated as a CB. I think he could be a first round pick potentially. So yeah, we'll take him, I think.
All right, next up we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, and since I already gave them a tackle, I'm thinking staying on the defensive side of the ball since they could probably get some offensive guy in the third or fourth round to help fill those needs on that side of the ball for them. So I'm probably going to also go a cornerback here for the Steelers, and I think I'm going to go Keon Scott out of Miami to help, get some younger guys in there because I know they've had some older guys that have just kind of been plugged in over the past few years, like Slay, Ramsey, and others. So I think getting a young guy in there that can start for a while would be helpful, and so they stop having this carousel of unks really playing that position and instead have a young guy that they can mold well.
All right, we're up with the Eagles. The board could have felt better, to be honest. So I know a big thought or safety or edge here. And I have heard things about Gabe, so I will be going with him out of Illinois. Hopefully this can be a good placement for Phillip. Probably not quite, but all help is needed on defense.
All right, I'm gonna love it. You guys are gonna love this guy. We're gonna go Jennings Duncan. He's a tackle, but I think the Chargers can absolutely. I think he can absolutely transition to guard for the NFL, and Chargers absolutely need them to. Like their tackles are perfect. Like they're probably like arguably be the best tackle duo in the league right now, and Jennings Duncan is something that could help the interior offensive line.
All right, next up we have the Jags, and I feel like Christian Miller here falling a little bit lower than, what was projected. I feel like he's just kind of a steal considering their needs, and yeah, he's going to be a great player for them and just a great value overall at this pick for the Jags. And then next up we have the Bears, and I don't know, there's a lot of ways this could go. I mean, they seem to just have infinite amount of picks really all over the place. So yeah, there's a lot of ways it could go here. We already gave them a safety, so I think we're probably just gonna stick with the defensive side of the ball. And again, we're gonna give them some pretty good value with Lee Hunter, and supply them with a pretty solid defensive lineman.
I really only see one option, so we already gave him an edge rusher. And looking down the board, it's not ideal having to take a tackle this late. We could very well go a guard though. But like I said, we got AJ at safety here, so I'm thinking we just we do that. We get some help in the safety room. Might as well capitalize when you have a good player available.
All right, next up we have the Texans, and I think I'm just going to help them, again, on the defensive side of the ball, give them some depth there, considering, again, they could probably get a running back or some O-linemen later down the line. So I think I'm going to go with Josiah Trotter here out of Missouri and just help strengthen that defensive unit that's already insanely good. All right, next up we have the Bears, and this one's an interesting one considering we've already given them 2 defensive players, so I don't know what to do really here. I mean, you know, they need a center, but again, they might be able to just get that later on. You know, I don't know exactly where their picks fall, but I feel like they could get someone like that later on. So I think we're just gonna go best player available. At least value-wise. I mean, it's not that big of a gap, but Keith Abney out of Arizona State. All right, next up we have the Rams at 61. And I feel like we just got to give them some depth at the wide receiver position because that's kind of what they need right now. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways you could go. Bryce Lance, Antonio Williams, Elijah Sarrett. So, I feel like we're going to go with Antonio Williams. I don't know much about these wide receivers, so I'll be honest. So I don't know who's the best out of all of them, but I think I will just go with Antonio Williams out of Clemson. And I feel like the Rams are pretty good at developing wide receivers, so it's really just, you know, pick whoever your favorite is here.
All right. So when I'm thinking of the Broncos, I'm thinking of just some kind of offensive play. They just got they re-signed what's his name?
J.K. Dobbins, running back,
Yes,
right?
J.K. Dobbins. I think he's a really good running back. He can be easily a top 15 running back when healthy. So I think that's fine. So I'm thinking tight end because I'm not sure how long. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad. My memory is so bad. What's the tight end's name for the Broncos?
Oliver Ingram.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. So I think we're gonna go. They just got Jalen Waddle, so I'm not focused on receivers. So I think I'm gonna go with Max Creel out of Ohio State.
And for our second to last pick, we have the Patriots back up. The last time they were on the board, we gave them a wide receiver. So what can we address now? We have a decent edge actually with UCF's. I forget how to pronounce the first name, but Lawrence. And looking at everything else that they could do, that's probably the best option because this guy is I think top of the second round in my opinion, and they're at the bottom of the second round, so I think that's pretty good value. So yeah, give me him.
All right. So from the departure of Kenneth Walker, the Seahawks definitely need a running back to help that room. There's nobody really available at 32. So I think Mike Washington Jr. can absolutely be, I think he can be a good running back in the league, without a doubt.
Yeah, that is going to do it for our mock draft. Our first one. We might do another one, but then again, you know, we never know. You never know. So make sure you like and subscribe down below. Make sure to let us know what you guys think about our mock draft. Do you disagree? Do you agree? Tell us which picks and you know, what would you do instead? Let us know all that kind of stuff down below in the comments. And do not forget to leave a like and subscribe as it helps out the video and the channel specifically a lot. So yeah, we'd really appreciate it if you guys would do that. And also don't forget to join our Discord for future updates about videos and content like mock drafts and, you know, talking all things sports. Make sure to join the Discord for that kind of stuff. And yeah, we will be showing you guys a picture of the mock draft up on screen right now. Pause the video if you want to see that. Anyways, without further ado, we will see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Bye.